Today I am going to be stripping my very first car, this 1970s 1200 VW Beetle. First thing that there is this petrol tank. It's already disconnected, I think. Let's just take it out. Now we've got the petrol tank out, we can get to the bolts that attach the body to the front beam. To take the body off, I am going to have to brace it, as these are no good. I'm going to have to put a piece of metal from here all the way to here. As you can see, it's fully rusted through and it just bounces about. Look at the door. You can see the full body just moving about. This piece of bar will go from there to there to hold the pillars in place. But anyway, let's get this seat out. Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard, but as always, we're going to need some trusty lubricant to spray in it all, as this seat won't have moved for many years. Oh, it's not moving, that. Hopefully I don't fall through the floor. There we go. Moving. There we go. That's one seat out. This seat's actually in pretty good condition. It's not ripped. These are the parts that we got off the seat. The two covers from the back. And all this is part of the mechanism. I am going to fully shut this door, ready for the weld on the inside. It's got to be shut properly so that the body keeps its shape. Let's get the seat out on the other side. This seat should be easier because one of the sides actually already fallen out. There we go. Both the seats out. So we need to fit that pillar in there. Let's clean some of the paint away so we can weld. There we go. Nice clean metal to weld to. Unfortunately, our MIG welder has packed in, so I am going to be using this stick welder for the first time. Hopefully, it all goes well. Let's take this steering wheel off, it's already unbolted. Let's give us a bit more room. This ain't going the best, ain't this? I can't seem to hold it and manage to get a weld on, so I've got some magnets. I'm going to try and hold it up with a magnet. Managed to get a bit of a weld on then. That's held it. I'll see if I can get a little bit more on there. Then that should be it for that side. I'm done. So I've just about managed to get this side on, but I'm really not good at doing this welding at all, so I think I'm going to get my dad to do the other side. So my dad's managed to weld this side in, and then I've managed to weld a piece of rebar in And I'm also going to weld a piece at the back to make sure it's nice and strong and this body doesn't move when we take it off the chassis. We've got all the bars welded in. We've got one just there, one just across there, one across the door, and another one across this door just here. So the next thing we need to do is unbolt this body. The first two bolts I'm going to do is these two just here. Looks like we're going to have to get the breaker bar for that one. That should do the job. Then we have a ton of bolts all the way along the heater channel on both sides. For some reason the bolts aren't coming out. They're just spinning. So none of these bolts have come out. Hopefully we have better luck on the other side. Unfortunately, none of these bolts connected to the heater channel will come off. So I think the only way to do it is going to be to cut along the floor pan and take the body up with a piece to the floor pan still connected. So the next thing I would take off is these 4 bolts connected to the bulkhead, but unfortunately that's where I've got our ramp on. So I'm going to unbolt the ones that are inside and then I'll come back to these ones here. I am actually having to climb from underneath because I don't want to open the doors just in case one of the welds snap. Here is where the bolts are located on the inside of the car. There's 3 on this side and 3 on this side. And these are what the bolts are meant to be, that go underneath the car. But obviously they must be really rusted. I'm pretty certain there is one, a third one behind these, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to go and have a look at another car. As you can see on this bar, gent, there's only 2. So I must have been mistaken about there being 3 holes. Now I've got the inside bolts out, I need to get these 2 bolts out. There's one on this side and one on the other side. It's a 17mm. There we go. Nice and easy. So we need to do the same with this side, but the problem is this rear arch is on, so it makes it hard to get in. We'll still try to do it. There we go, managed to do it. Right then, let's lower the ramp down, move the arms at the front and get them 4 bolts undone at the front. I'm having to pick this car up really dodgily, so I'm going to have to stay quite away from it. It's just 2 17mm on either side of the bulkhead. As you can see, that definitely wasn't in the best condition. There we go. That's them 4 bolts out. I'm going to lower the car back down and put the ramp back on properly. So that's all the bolts out that connect the body to the floor pan, except from the ones that go on the heater channel. before the body comes off, I've got to undo these 2 bolts to disconnect the steering column to the steering box. I'm going to try and see which bolts we can actually get off. These are normally quite hard when they're disconnected from where I've done it from, so hopefully this one comes off easy. But I don't think it's gonna. Because this is bent, as you can see, it goes right down there and back up to the top. Because it's bent, it's not wanting to fit through very easy. So I'm going to see if these 2 bolts come undone now. I've got a bit more room. So I've managed to get that off now. I ended up just unbolting these 2 bolts to disconnect it. I'm just disconnecting all the wires and bolts. I've disconnected these 2 brake lines. There is a wire that comes from the master cylinder and it goes just here. Let's undo them. Hopefully that should pull through. Unfortunately, this cover on the wire has gone all dodgy, so I'm just going to chop it off and try not to get the wires underneath. That's it. So them wires can stay down here with the chassis and the body should be able to lift up. Let's get to cutting these floor pans out so we can lift the body off. Now I've got this side of the floor pan mostly cut out. I'm going to pull them down to the floor, put these 2 sides onto the body and see if we can lift this side off of the chassis. Because I know that it's still going to be connected a little bit, so if I lift it up a bit, I can figure out where it's still connected and get it fully disconnected on this side. The front seems to be off. As you can see, it has actually moved off the chassis quite a lot, but it is still stuck on. I'm going to go up a bit more. I'm putting this block of wood between the body and the chassis so that when I let the car down I can see where it's still connected. Now we've got it lifted up, we can clearly see that we're still connected just here. So I need to make a cut across there. And on the back, you can see that it's had weld from the heater channel to the floor pan. So someone's done some work on this car before, but not a good job of it. So we'll do a bit more cutting, and then hopefully this side of the body should be off. So both sides of the floor pan are cut out. I think this side's still got a little bit that's stuck on, but I've got the lift on the body. Let's see if it lifts it. It don't seem to be lifting the body off, does it? It's still solid. There we go. It's come in. So I just need to get the grinder and cut it here. There's still all the wires to disconnect. Got a big red one, goes to the starter motor. I think that's the one that we put in when we put the engine in. So that green wire, apparently was for the fog light, we'd marked it up, but it's snapped now anyway. So this body's actually come off the floor pan alright in the end. As you can see, the heater channels are absolutely knackered, all hanging down. So it's a good job we put them braces in, otherwise this body would have just folded. So what I need to do now is, I need to move this chassis forward and let this body down. Then I'm going to put the body over there, where the car was before, so then we can work on the chassis. Before I move this chassis, I need to get everything out of the way that we've took off the car, like these seats. The heater line's still on, so I'm just going to chop the connector so it can slide off. Oh, the steering damper's leaking out all its oil. Right, that's the floor pan out of the way. Now I just need to figure out how to get this body over to there. So I've got my dad to come give us an hand now. We've decided that we've got a trolley to put under here when we let it down. And we're going to sweep the floor and try and bring the body round the back. So we've got the body jacked up at the front, and at the back we have a little trolley. So let's see if we can roll it round. Sit thing, we'll have to lift it. There we go. That's the body back where it was. Now we need to get working on that chassis, and then we can start work on this body. Right then, let's get this chassis back. Let's get all this junk off. This body is in terrible condition and is going to need lots of work. Look at the state of it. It's all fixable though, we will get it fixed. Although this chassis I don't think it's actually too bad. There's no holes in the actual beam. And the front bulkhead's also solid, which I'm quite surprised with. The steering damper's leaking, but that shouldn't matter because we'll be getting a new one anyway. In the next video on this car, I think we'll be taking the engine out. So if you'd like to give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.